Hello all, welcome to Autobot YouTube channel. So today we are going to learn about another automation tool called Selenium IDE. So in this video we are going to learn what is Selenium IDE, how to get Selenium IDE in your machine, and how you can record and playback the automation test cases. So all these points that we're going to cover in this video. So please try to watch the entire video. So let's start the session. What is Selenium IDE? So Selenium IDE is an open source record and playback test automation for the web. Okay, so it's an automation tool for automating the web application. We can directly use the record and playback option in the Selenium IDE. Okay, so instead of writing each and every line of code, we can directly record the test case, and we can play back that without any coding. Okay, so that's how Selenium IDE can be useful. And another main benefit of Selenium IDE is, like, even if we record and create a test case, we can convert that to a Java file, or we can convert to other programming languages also. Okay, so that is again one benefit of Selenium IDE. Let us understand few of the key features of Selenium IDE. First one is web ready. Simple turnkey solution to quickly author reliable end-to-end tests, works out of the box for any web app. So as I mentioned earlier, Selenium IDE we can use for web application automation. Okay, so we have the possibility of recording the entire test case, and if we want to do it manually, we have the commands which is readily available in Selenium IDE. So we just need to choose the particular commands, and we can create our own scripts without any scripting. And what is the next benefit? That is easy debugging. Enjoy easier test debugging with rich IDE features like setting breakpoints and posing on exceptions. So this Selenium IDE is highly efficient in debugging the test cases. Suppose if you are facing some issue, if you're going for some complex test case, what we can do is we can set up the breakpoints for the test cases, and while debugging, we can pause the execution. Okay, so that is really helpful if you're going for the debugging of big test cases. So let's go to the last point, that is cross-browser execution. Run your tests on any browser bar OS combination in parallel using the command line runner for Selenium IDE. So there can be situations like we may have to execute multiple test cases in different browsers, right? So we can call it as a cross-browser execution. If that is the case, what we can do is we have to use a command line runner. Okay, so using the command line runner, we can execute the test cases in a parallel mode. So that is again a benefit of a Selenium IDE. And another thing is this Selenium IDE is a ready to use IDE, so we don't need to do any prerequisites configuration for using this Selenium IDE. We just need to add this particular Selenium IDE to the browser, and we can directly do the recording and we can create the test cases. There is no need of creating any setup for the project. So it just need a click and naming of the project for setting up the project. And next key point is a resilient test. Selenium IDE records multiple locations for each element it interacts with. If one locator fails during playback, the others will be tried until one is successful. So this is a great feature of Selenium IDE. So this is nothing but, like, suppose if I want to click on a button. Okay, so if we are capturing the locators using Selenium IDE, it will capture all the possible selectors for that particular button, and it will try to identify the locator using one element. Okay, so if we try to locate the element using the ID, and if it got fail means it will try for the next locator, like it can be using the name or XPath. Like that, it will try for each possibility of locators, and if it cannot find any of these selectors, then only our test step will get a fail. So that is a great feature of a Selenium IDE. So let's check the next point. Test case reuse. Through the use of run command, you can reuse one test case inside of another. So let me tell you a sample. Suppose if you want to execute, if you want to create a test case for one application, maybe we'll have to create different test cases, right? So in order to do the login process, what we can do, we can create a test case for the login process, and in other test cases, we can recall this login process instead of repeating the same steps, right? For that, we can use the run command in Selenium IDE. So using the run command, we can call the login test case. So that's how we can do the reusability of the test cases that we are preparing in Selenium IDE. And another thing is control flow. Selenium IDE ships with an extensive control flow structure with available commands like if, while, and times. So suppose if there are multiple decision making which is required in our test cases, so control flow is helping a lot to do those kind of conditions. And if we want to do some loops, so for those things we can go with the while and times. Plugins. Selenium IDE can be extended through the use of plugins. They can introduce new commands to the IDE or integrate with a third-party service. Write your own or install one that someone else has already written. As I mentioned already, Selenium IDE is an open source tool. So we have the provision to modify that as it's a open source tool, and we can get the third-party services to elaborate the command bandwidth. Like we can get more functionality to the Selenium IDE using the third-party services. And if you want to get the source code for the Selenium IDE, what you can do is you can go to the GitHub and download the source code from here. So let me show you how you can install or get the Selenium IDE in your browser. For that, what you have to do is, so currently I'm in Chrome browser. So just go to this extension, click on extension. In my browser, this Selenium IDE is already configured. Okay, suppose if it is not configured, what you have to do is go to manage extension. Okay, just go here. Then here, go to open Chrome web store. Okay. So the just search for Selenium IDE. Okay, so if you search for it, it will show you the extension. You can directly click on that, and you can you have to click to add to Chrome. Okay, so as I have already added the extension in my Chrome, it is showing like remove from Chrome. Okay, so if you want to add to your Chrome, you have to click to add to Chrome. Okay, so if you click on that, it will automatically add it to your extension list. Okay, so that's how you need to get this Selenium IDE. Okay, so let me show you uh, how to create the test cases and what are the different features of a Selenium IDE. So once it's got added to your browser, what you have to do is just click on the Selenium IDE. Okay, so it will open up this particular page. So there it will ask record a new test in a new project, open a existing project, create a new project, close Selenium IDE. Okay, so record a new test in a new project means it will ask for a project name and it will automatically start a new test case. Okay, open an existing project means if there is already a project that you have created, and if you want to open that, you can use this particular button. And if you want to create a new project alone, you can click on create a new project, and if you want to close the IDE, just click on close a Selenium IDE. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project, and here you can see the version 3.17.0. so I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to name it like a Autobot demo project. Okay, you can change the name of project at any time by click it and entering a new name. Okay, so even if you create a project with one name, you can change it later by just renaming. Just click on OK. So here you can see you have created a new project. Okay, so if you want to rename, just click on here, click here and just rename the project. Okay, so if I want to add a new test case, what I have to do is I need to click on this particular uh, add new test button. Okay, so let me create a new test case, and I will explain you what are the other features in this Selenium IDE. So what can be my test case? My first test case. Okay, add. Okay, so here you can see uh, a new test case got added. Already one untitled test case was there, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so this is my test case. Okay, and here one more thing is I created one test case, right? So if you want to save this project, what you can do is, okay, here you can click on this save button. Okay, so that is for save project. And if you click on save project, what is happening? It is trying to save the project in one particular folder, and here you can see the type of the folder is save as type side file. Okay, so the extension is side, that's why it's showing like that. Okay, so I'm just saving it. And here what are the other things? So here, from here you can open up a new project. So currently these things are yeah, this is for opening a project, and this is for creating a new project, and this is for saving the project that we have done now. And if you click on here, you can see run in CI. Okay, so continuous integration. If you want to run CI, just click on this. So let me click on that. It will show you how you can integrate this side project in CI using command line runner. Okay, so these are the method for doing that. So you can see project.side, that is the extension and the project name for the project. And you can now run all your Selenium IDE test on any browser in parallel and on grid without needing to write any code. They are just a small matter of installing the Selenium IDE command line runner, getting the necessary browser driver, and launching the runner from a command prompt with the options you want. Okay, so what you have to do is you just need to get the command line runner, and using this particular syntax, that is Selenium side runner, then you have to give the project name. It will execute the test cases inside that. Okay, so that's how you need to do. So all the prerequisites and the installation methods has provided here. So you need to install the Chrome drivers also prior to the execution. Okay, so these are the methods, and here you can see the commands they have directly provided for doing the command line execution of the Selenium IDE projects. Okay, so let me close this. And um, what are the other features here? So what's new? It will show you what are the new features. Help will give you the documentations which can help you to create new test cases. Put more space between letters and words means if I click on that, you can see it added some more space to the letters. Okay, and if you re-click on that, it will go to the normal format. Okay, then disable the keyboard shortcut. If you don't want to use any keyboard shortcut in this particular automation, you can disable the keyboard shortcut. So I'm just going with the default. And what are the other features? Run all the tests. Like suppose if you're creating more number of tests, okay, if you want to execute all the tests, you just need to click on this. And if you want to click the particular test, you can click on this particular one. And this one is currently disabled, and this one is for managing the execution of the test cases. Okay, so if you want a faster execution, you can keep it like this. If you want a very slow execution, just keep the speed at the bottom. Okay, then log and other things I will explain while creating the test case. Okay, and what are the other features here? So here you can see, so Okay, so this one is also currently posted. Okay, so let me explain that after doing our recording. Okay, so here you can see one record option. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the Selenium IDE will help to create the test cases using the record, and you can playback that within the Selenium IDE itself. Okay, and if you want to do that in a command line execution, you need to use the runner for that, and you need to integrate that with the CI/CD. Okay, so let me record a simple test case. For that, I'm going to use HTTPS. Okay, it's already showing this particular URL. Okay, so this URL I'm going to use HTTPS rpachallenge.com. Click on start recording. Okay, so once you click on that, it will open up that particular URL. Okay, so here you can see the Selenium IDE has started the recording. Okay, so what you can do is whatever the navigation or the flow user story that you need to automate, just do the same process here, and Selenium IDE will capture all the actions in the IDE. So here I'm going to type the company name, Autobot. Phone number I'm going to mark it like not applicable. Role in company, automation specialist. Address I'm just marking like not applicable. Email I'm going to just put something at gmail.com, and bot and first name I'm going to name it like Auto. Okay, and click on submit. Okay, so the first test case is completed, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to Selenium IDE here, or if you want to stop the this is for stop the recording, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, so here you can see whatever the action that we performed on the rpachallenge.com, everything got captured here, right? So everything got captured here. And you can see RPA challenge, that is the URL that we have used, and here in the first column you can see the command that is providing by the Selenium IDE. Okay, so for opening the URL we have used open. For set window size, for setting the size of the window, they have used set a window size. For click activity, it has used a click. So instead of writing these lines like driver route find element by dot export something, instead of that we just need to use these activities, okay, or the comments. And okay, if you suppose if you don't want to record the execution, what you can do is in the test case itself, just click here. Okay, so just click here and add the command. What is the command that you want? Suppose if you want to do the assertion, just click on that, it will add that command, and what is the target for that particular element. And for that what you can do is okay, so for this what you can do is go to inspect. Okay, use this particular button, inspect on top of that, and here like this way you can find the locators for this particular button. Okay, and you can give different ways of locators, like you can use ID, name, or class, or full X path. So different kind of locators you can provide inside this target. And if you want to supply some value to that particular selector, you can give the type, and description is just describing that particular command. Okay, it will help for the understanding of the project. Okay, so that's what you have to do. So currently you can see the project that we recorded is captured, and you can see it over here. And if you click on this last button, you can see if you want to cut the particular line, you can do that. Copy, paste, delete is there, or if you want to insert a command, that is also possible, and if you want to clear all the commands, that is also possible here. And here you can see toggle breakpoint. Okay, so this toggle breakpoint is nothing but if you want to debug this project, okay, or debug the test case, and if you want to pause your execution at some particular line, you can use this toggle breakpoint. Okay, then play to this point means it will play until this toggle breakpoint, and record from here means from that point it will record the test case again. Okay, so all those things are there. So let me close it out. Okay, and what I'm going to do is let me delete it. Let me run this test case. Okay, so currently we have only one test case, so I'm going to run this current test. Let me close this console. Here you can see it's reloading the rpachallenge.com. Okay, I'm just going to IDE. Here you can see it set the window size, trying to find this particular ID, that is ID equal to VHME9. Let's see whether the execution will work or not. Okay, and if the locator is not valid, even in this Selenium IDE also your execution will fail. Okay, so what you can do is you can choose the respective ID for the execution. Okay, warning. So here you can see it has thrown a warning for this particular third line. Warning, element found with a secondary locator. Okay, so it found with a secondary locator xpath equal to /input. To use this by default, update the test step to use it as the primary locator. And it failed for this particular line because it could not find the particular ID. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this target. Okay, so when I click on this, you can see the target, right? And if you click it over here, you can find out the different locators that was captured by the Selenium IDE. Okay, so I'm going to use this last one. Okay, for this one also I'm going to use this last one. Okay, so same like that I'm going to modify for everything because this ID is a dynamic value, so it will change for each execution. So I'm going to use the stable one. Okay, so I'm going to change for all the lines. If you want to create your customized locators, that you can do as I shown before. Okay, so that is done. So let me re-execute the script again. So it's reloading rpachallenge.com. Okay, now you can see it's entering phone number, rolling company, email, address, first name. So it's entering all the values and it will click on submit. Okay, so now you can see it run one test case and failure is 0, and here you can see it in a green line. It means the test case that you executed is passed. Okay, and here also you can see the tick symbol. It means all these test steps are correct and it ran successfully. Okay, and if you want to change the speed of this execution, you just need to change this speed. Okay, so based on that it will alter the speed of your execution. So suppose if I want to create a new test case, and what I can do, okay, test my second test case, add Okay, I'm going to this same one, I'm going to record it. Okay, I need to go to movie search. I need to type something here. I'm going to type Titanic. Okay, I need to type Titanic. Click on find. Okay, so that's my second test case. Just to stop it. And here you can see pause on exception. So if you enable this, like whenever if you're executing and if you're getting an exception, it will pause at that particular step. Okay, so this one is still not enabled. Okay, so here what is doing, okay, link test, actually this step is not required. Okay, so that's it. So currently we have two test cases, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run all the test. So it will execute one by one. It will first execute my first test case, and after that it will execute the second test case. So like that way you have to execute the test suite. Okay, and if you want to run it from CI/CD, you have to use that command runner for the execution. Okay, and it's execute starting the second test case. It has to click on movie search. Okay, I think I removed that step, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is okay, or let it fail. Actually, I by mistake I deleted one line from here. That's why it throwing the error. Okay, so it has to click on that search movie, right? So that I by mistake I deleted that. Okay, so let it leave it and let it fail the execution. Okay, so my first test case executed successfully, and here you can see all the logs. Okay, so here total two test cases executed in this test suite, and one is failure and the first one is passed, right? Okay, so now you can see these two buttons are enabled. So this is for disable the breakpoint. Suppose if you add any breakpoints, toggle breakpoint, right? And if you want to disable that, you can click on this. It will disable the breakpoint, and this is for a step over the current command. So if you click on that, it will step over to the current selected command. Okay, so let me stop it. Okay, so currently we have seen how to create the project and how to record the lines and how you can run the test suite, test case and all. So let me show you how you can convert this particular recording to another format. For that, what you have to do is, suppose if I need to export this particular my first test case. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to click on these three dots. Okay, so here it will show you four options. First one is rename, duplicate. If you want to duplicate the same test case, you can do that. Delete means if you want to delete the test case from the test suite, you can click on this. Just click on export. Okay, so if you click on export, it will ask you to which format that you want to export this particular test case. Okay, so suppose if you want to go with the C# and unit, you can click on this and click on export, or if you want with any different languages, you can choose that and click on export. Okay, and here it is asking include origin tracing code comments. Okay, so if you want this comments, you can include that. Include step description as a separate command. So if you want that commands, you can click on that, or export for use on Selenium grid. Okay, so if you want to run this test case in any Selenium grid, you can enable this particular one. Okay, then it will ask you for the remote URL where you're going to run the Selenium grid. Okay, so now I'm not going to use it. So what I'm going to do is okay, let me export that to Java JUnit. Let me click on JUnit, sorry, export. Okay, so in downloads it will get a download. Okay, so what is the file name? My first test case test, and it is saving as a Java file. Okay, so I'm just opening that file. Okay, so you can see this test case, which is like a Selenium IDE format, is now converted to a JUnit code. Okay, so this will help in creating your scripts in a faster manner. Suppose if you are using Eclipse, and if you are using some framework for creating your test suite, what you can do is you can use Selenium IDE for getting the basic selectors and creating the flow, and you can export that to your respective languages, and you can integrate that in your project which you are creating in Eclipse or any of the IDEs. Okay, so here you can see it has imported all the libraries, respective libraries it has imported, and then it is declaring the drivers and all. Then it is here you can see the annotations of the JUnit. Okay, at before, at after, at test. So here it is after the test suite, it is queuing the driver, and here it is initiating the driver, and here you can see all the steps. Okay, so these steps are equal to these steps in the Selenium IDE. Okay, so driver.find element by.xpath, it is sending this Autobot to that particular input field. Okay, so this is very much helpful if you are going for long engagements while creating long test cases. Okay, so this is how you can use the test cases, and if you are not going for any of the IDEs or anything, you can directly record here and do the playback inside this Selenium IDE itself, and you can directly integrate that even in CI/CD using the command runner. Okay, so all these are the benefits of using Selenium IDE, and in this video we have seen what is Selenium IDE, how to use the Selenium IDE, how to get the Selenium IDE in your browser, and how you can export your test case to different programming languages. Okay, and this Selenium IDE is customizable also, as it's an open source. You can get the source code, and if you want to modify some alterations, that is also possible. Okay, so hope this video is useful and interesting for you. So just try to get the Selenium IDE extension in your browser and try to do some basic automation. It will help you a lot in doing the automations if you're going for some test automation, or if you're going for some web-based automations also, you can use this Selenium IDE. Okay, so like this Selenium IDE, there are some other automation tools also which you can use for doing this record and playback. So we will come across all these tools in the coming videos. So just follow our channel, and please share these videos to your friends. Don't forget to like the video, and please give your valuable comments, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. So thanks for watching. Bye.